Browns versus Cowboys is almost here, so I thought on today's episode we could kind of take things back to square one and go over the depth charts for the Browns and look at all the starters just to get everyone familiar for some new faces and some returning faces going into the 2024 season. So let's start in the quarterback room where it's as expected. Deshaun Watson, QB1, followed by Jameis Winston and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Tyler Huntley was released after making the initial 53-man roster. So that's the three quarterback room the Browns are working with now. And then Huntley went back to the Ravens, which was like the most obvious thing in the world because they had a horrible backup quarterback preseason. So not surprised they brought him back. As for your running backs, Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong Jr., and Deontay Foreman are your three healthy backs for week one. Until Nick Chubb returns, I expect to see a somewhat even-ish split between all three guys. Jerome Ford's going to get majority of the carries. Deontay Foreman's going to be this year's Kareem Hunt. Short yardage, goal line, pass blocking. He's a very good pass protector. And then Pierre Strong Jr., I think they're going to have him mostly just for special teams, but you might see him occasionally on like a screen pass or something like that just to get his speed and space. But until Nick Chubb returns, I think it's going to be a committee running back room for the Browns. Now, before we get on to the wide receivers and the rest of this team, help us take down the Cowboys report in subscribers for week one. We have cut the gap from earlier. We are 50 subs away. Hit the sub button down below if you want to beat Dallas, not only on the field, but also within the walls of Chat Sports. Wide receivers. I'm filming this video not long after David Bell's release, which means the Browns only have 52 guys on their roster, and if they sign someone and I don't have him in the video, well, that's why. But Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, your top three guys, Jamari Thrash, and Cedric Tillman. I think partially why the Browns might have moved on from David Bell is a ton of confidence in Jamari Thrash and Cedric Tillman to kind of step into a larger role with them entering their second and their first years of the NFL. So I don't think they're going to have a big role for them early on, but if an injury pops up, the Browns may have a lot of confidence in those guys stepping in and not missing too much of a beat. Tight ends now, you've got David Njoku and Jordan Akins. I expect the Browns to maybe elevate a tight end from the practice squad, bring someone else in. So if there's a room to be added to, it would definitely be the tight end room. I don't expect the Browns to roll with two tight ends for very long, if at all, into the season. So watch for a tight end to get called up to the active roster on Sunday. Offensive line now, you've got your five starters, Jed Wills, Joel Petonio, Ethan Posick, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin. Now, like I said, filming this Thursday afternoon, I'm not confident in Jed Wills being available week one. He's already said he's not starting. He didn't practice Thursday. If that's the case, watch for Jack Conklin to move to left tackle, and then DeJuan Jones fills in at right tackle. If that happens and Jack Conklin and DeJuan Jones both start to play quite well at their respective tackle positions, why would the Browns deviate from that? Like if Jack Conklin kind of fits like a glove at left tackle, which he played in college at Michigan State, 2-year starter at left tackle, and he made the transition from left to right, no problem. He was an all-pro as a rookie for the Titans. Who's to say he can't make the transition one more time back to left tackle? And we saw how good DeJuan Jones was just as a rookie last year. So there's a lot of belief and expectations that he can be a true starter at the right tackle position. So keep an eye on the offensive line, but those are your five starters. Now, who do you think will score the first touchdown for the Browns this season? Last year, I said David Njoku. I kind of want to go with David Njoku again, but I'm feeling a Deshaun Watson pass to Jerome Ford. Let's give a Watson to Ford from the 9-yard line. Browns go up 7-0 with 4:50 remaining in the first quarter. On to the defense. Myles Garrett, Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, and Za'Darius Smith are your four starters when all healthy. Tomlinson, Harris, and Mo Hurst and Quentin Jefferson all kind of dealing with minor lagging injuries, but nothing too serious. Dalvin Tomlinson did miss the entire preseason and training camp on the PUP list due to a knee surgery he got right when the team went to Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, whatever it's called. But that's a top 3 defensive line of football. I mean, it's got Myles Garrett on it, so right off the bat, it's going to be top 10. But Za'Darius Smith, he was so good at creating pressures last year. Now he's just got to finish them off and convert them into sacks. In the interior defensive line, it is filled with veteran talent. So I love this defensive line for Jim Schwartz. Linebackers, JOK, Jordan Hicks, and Devin Bush are your 3 starters. Although I will say I don't expect the Browns to really do a whole bunch of 3 linebacker sets. I think you're going to see mostly 2 linebacker sets and the Browns putting out an extra safety on the field. I mean, that's what Jim Schwartz did a lot last year. It's what he did a lot before in Tennessee as a consultant. Plus, I feel like the Browns look at their safety room and their linebacker room and go, which one's better? Safety room. Well, let's get more of those guys on the field. Also, offenses are just getting faster and more heavy wide receiver sets, which you have to counter. So that means taking a linebacker off and putting a guy who's better in coverage, like a DB, like a Ronnie Hickman, like a Rodney McLeod. So I would expect to see a lot of Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit, and Rodney McLeod over your traditional 3 linebacker looks, other than when you're at the goal line and you need your ultimate run stoppers out there. That's where the extra linebacker comes on. Corners now. Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome. So, again, the same 3 corners of last year. I think it's a top 5 cornerback room in the National Football League. I'm hoping and excited for these guys to bounce back from the way they went out last year. It was a disastrous playoff loss in Houston, and not all the blame's ever going to go on one person or one unit, mostly 99 times out of 100. But in this case, like, a lot of the blame went on the DBs, and a lot went on Joe Flacco too. But we don't need to go back in the past anymore. However, the DBs, they definitely went out with a sour taste in their mouth, and I hope that they kind of have that taste still, and that fuels them for a really good 2024 season. Because when those guys are all healthy and playing at their max potential, I mean, it's going to be a nightmare to move the ball on them. Now, for the safeties, like I said earlier, you've got Thornhill and Delpit. Rodney McLeod is kind of the first safety off the bench, and I think he's going to play a bunch of snaps still, even as a non-starter. I think you're just going to see, like I said, a lot of 3 safety looks, right? The offense wants to move fast. The defense has to get fast. If the offense wants to have 3 receivers on the field, the defense has to have an extra DB on the field. So that comes at a price. That means taking likely Devin Bush off and putting Rodney McLeod on. So those are your starters for week 1 as of now, but we know that the Browns like to be a little dramatic at times and make some changes on us. Like, I don't know, telling us on Sunday morning that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is starting with very little notice. So hopefully that does not happen week 1, but that's what we're rolling with here. So give me a bold take for the 2024 Browns season. Get in the comment section below and give me a bold take. I'll give you a bold take. I think Myles Garrett goes back-to-back in Defensive Player of the Year. This defense is only going to get better in the second year under Jim Schwartz. They've got so many great pieces around them they had last year, but I felt like I feel like the rich just got richer, the strong just got stronger. They just added to what was already the number 1 defense in football. So give me back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year performances for 95. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss a single thing when it comes to the Brownies. And I'll see you all on Sunday for our Browns vs. Cowboys watch party.